He laughed at my pain like it was the punchline of some bad joke. And maybe that was the cruelest part, realizing the person I once trusted with my entire heart was now the reason it felt like my chest had been hollowed out. I was scrolling through my phone on a Tuesday night, eating leftover pizza and trying to convince myself that loneliness was just a phase. When it happened, one careless swipe, one stupid tap, and suddenly, there it was, his post. My ex, Jason, smiling in the arms of someone else, writing captions about finding home, as if I had never been enough. The air in my tiny Brooklyn apartment felt heavier than usual, pressing against my lungs. I thought I had moved on. God, I wanted to believe that. But his face, his words, his goddamn ability to make love look so easy, it pulled me back into a storm I thought I'd already survived. And then there was Noah. Noah wasn't supposed to matter. He was just my neighbor, the guy who kept borrowing sugar and somehow knew the exact moments to knock on my door when silence felt unbearable. He had this maddening smile, crooked and sincere, the kind that made you want to tell him everything you'd sworn you'd never say out loud. But the night I saw Jason's post, Noah became something else, a lifeline I didn't even realize I was reaching for. He found me sitting on the apartment stairs, phone clutched in my hand like a weapon I didn't know how to put down. "Hey," he said softly, his voice warm like a blanket you didn't want to admit you needed. "You look like someone just stole your entire world." I laughed bitterly. Maybe they did. His eyes flickered to my phone. He didn't pry, didn't ask, didn't judge. Instead, he just sat next to me, shoulders brushing, close enough to feel the heat of him but not close enough to push me away. The thing about heartbreak, it makes you reckless. And with Noah, recklessness felt like breathing. Noah had his own scars, though he rarely spoke of them. But sometimes, late at night when we shared cheap wine in my kitchen, his walls slipped. He'd tell me about his father who never said the words, "I'm proud of you," and his ex-boyfriend who once told him that being loved by Noah was too much. Too much intensity, too much emotion, too much of everything. "Funny," I told him once, "that's exactly why I think you're impossible to forget." He'd smiled then, this soft, broken smile that made me want to fix the pieces someone else had shattered. But here's the truth I didn't want to admit. I was still in love with Jason, and that love, twisted, poisoned, stubborn, stood between me and the possibility of something real with Noah. The first time Noah touched me, really touched me, it wasn't planned. It wasn't romantic in the way movies would script it. I was drunk on grief and bourbon, ranting about how Jason had once promised me forever but couldn't even give me loyalty. My voice cracked, my chest heaved, and suddenly Noah's hand was on mine, steady and grounding. "Eli," he whispered my name like it was something fragile, like I was something fragile. "You don't have to keep bleeding for someone who walked away." I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to, but belief felt dangerous. So instead, I leaned forward. Our lips met, desperate and clumsy, tasting of salt and whiskey. It was both a mistake and the most honest thing I had done in months. Noah didn't pull away. He held me like I wasn't broken, like my jagged edges wouldn't cut him open. And for the first time since Jason left, I felt something shift, like maybe love wasn't about permanence but about finding someone who stayed even when it hurt. But life doesn't make it easy. 2 weeks later, Jason came back. Not in the way I expected, not with flowers or apologies, but with arrogance. He showed up outside my building, leaning against his shiny new car like the world had forgiven him. "Eli," he drawled, as if saying my name was enough to undo the months of silence. "We should talk." Noah saw him first. I'll never forget the way his eyes darkened, the way his jaw clenched. But he didn't say a word. He just looked at me like he was asking silently, "Who do you belong to?" And that was the question, wasn't it? Because love isn't just about who makes your heart race. It's about who catches you when you fall. I looked at Jason, then at Noah, and for the first time in a long time I realized I had a choice. That night marked the beginning of something raw and terrifying. A battle between past and present, between the ghost of a love I thought would last forever and the fragile, new flame flickering in Noah's hands. And maybe, just maybe, that flame could become the fire I needed to finally burn free. Jason didn't change. That much was clear the second he opened his mouth. He leaned against his car like he was posing for a magazine, like the world was still orbiting around him, like I was still his. That arrogance, the same arrogance that had once drawn me in, made me believe he was untouchable, now felt like salt in a wound. "You're looking good," he said, his tone casual, dismissive. "Better than I expected." I scoffed. "Thanks for the compliment, I guess." Behind me, Noah shifted his weight, silent but solid, his presence a steady anchor. I could feel the heat of him at my back, his quiet loyalty screaming louder than Jason's smugness ever could. Jason's eyes flickered to him. "And who's this?" "My friend," I said too quickly, too sharp. I hated how defensive I sounded, how old patterns clawed at me. Jason smirked. "Right? Just a friend." The words cut. They always did, because Jason knew how to twist them like knives. He was good at making me doubt myself, good at making me small. Noah stepped forward then, just slightly, enough that our shoulders brushed. "Doesn't matter who I am. What matters is what you want, Eli." His voice was steady, but his hand, hidden at his side, curled into a fist. Jason chuckled like it was all a game. "So what's it going to be? You gonna stand here pretending you've moved on? Or you want to stop lying to yourself?" The city noise filled the silence that followed. Cars, distant sirens, the hum of street lamps. But inside me, everything was quiet except for the thundering of my heart. Because deep down, I knew what Jason was doing. He was baiting me. He wanted to remind me of who I used to be, the boy who worshipped him, who bent to his whims, who believed every empty promise. But I wasn't that boy anymore. At least, I wanted to believe I wasn't. Later, in the dim light of my apartment, Noah stood at the kitchen counter, arms crossed, jaw tight. He hadn't said a word since Jason left. Finally, I broke the silence. "Say it." "Say what?" His voice was cold, clipped. "Whatever you're thinking, just say it." He slammed his palm against the counter, startling me. "I'm thinking you let him talk to you like he still owns you. I'm thinking you're still chained to him, even when he's the reason you're bleeding inside. And I'm thinking," his voice cracked, softer now, "I'm thinking I don't know where I stand with you." I swallowed hard. His words hit deeper than Jason's ever could. "Noah, don't." He turned away, running a hand through his hair. "Don't say my name like that, like I'm a safety net. I'm not here to catch you just because he dropped you." His words gutted me, but I knew he was right. I hadn't chosen him, not really. I was caught in the gravity of my past, and Noah deserved more than being someone's second choice. Still, when he finally looked at me, eyes glassy with unshed tears, my chest ached. "I don't want to be your rebound, Eli," he whispered. "I want to be your choice." The next few days blurred together in a haze of silence and distance. Noah stopped knocking on my door. I stopped sitting on the apartment stairs, afraid I'd see him there. My phone buzzed with Jason's messages, half apologies, half manipulation, but I ignored them, even when my fingers itched to respond. I thought space would help me breathe, but instead it suffocated me. The walls of my apartment closed in, the loneliness pressing heavier than ever. On the fourth night, I found myself outside Noah's door, heart pounding. I almost turned back, almost convinced myself he didn't need my mess tangled up with his. But then the door opened, and there he was, tired, hair mussed, wearing an old t-shirt that hung loose on his frame. "Eli." His voice was flat, guarded. I almost broke right there. "I don't know how to do this," I admitted, my throat tight. "I don't know how to stop feeling like Jason still has his claws in me. But I know this: when I'm with you, it feels like I can finally breathe again. And I'm scared as hell, because if I let myself fall for you, it won't be casual. It won't be small. It'll be everything. And maybe that's too much for you." But before I could finish, Noah's lips were on mine. Soft, tentative, but filled with a desperation that mirrored my own. When we broke apart, he rested his forehead against mine. "Then let it be everything," he whispered. We didn't fall into each other all at once. It was messy, complicated. Some nights we laughed until our stomachs hurt, tangled in blankets on my couch. Other nights, I woke up shaking from dreams of Jason, and Noah held me until the memories loosened their grip. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And then Jason made sure it wouldn't stay simple. I saw him again a week later. This time he wasn't smug. He looked desperate, haunted. "Eli," he said, grabbing my arm outside the coffee shop I worked at. "Please, just hear me out." I pulled away, but my heart clenched. Jason rarely begged. "I made a mistake," he continued, voice cracking. "That guy, it wasn't love. It was nothing. You are the only one who ever mattered. I know I screwed up, but I can fix this. We can fix this." And for one terrifying moment, I almost believed him. Because that's the thing about first love, it brands you. No matter how much you heal, the scars remain. But before I could respond, a familiar voice cut through the air. "No, Jason. You don't get to waltz back in like this." "Noah." He stepped between us, protective, furious. His eyes burned into Jason's with a fire I'd never seen before. "Eli doesn't need you," Noah said. "Not your apologies, not your excuses, not your manipulations. He deserves someone who stays, even when it's hard. Someone who doesn't throw him away the second it's convenient." Jason scoffed. "And that's you? The neighbor boy?" Noah didn't flinch. "Yeah, that's me." The silence that followed was thick, electric. Jason's jaw tightened, his pride bruised. But he didn't push further. He just glared at me, eyes filled with an anger that used to terrify me but now only reminded me of why I had to let him go. And for the first time, I felt free enough to choose. I reached for Noah's hand, and I didn't let go. Jason's shadow lingered long after he was gone. Even when the street outside was empty, even when Noah's hand remained firmly in mine, I could feel him. The weight of his words, the hook of his voice, the ghost of the promises he used to whisper in the dark, it all clung to me like smoke I couldn't wash away. That night, Noah and I sat in silence on my couch. The city hummed outside, but in my apartment it was still, painfully still. His thumb traced circles against my knuckles, slow and patient, but I could feel the tension in his body. He was waiting for me to say something, waiting for me to choose. Finally, I whispered, "It feels like he still owns a part of me." Noah's hand stilled. He turned to me, eyes searching, soft but sharp. "Then you need to take it back." "How?" My voice cracked. "I don't even know who I am without the pieces he left behind. I spent years building my life around him, around us. And when it ended, it was like the floor collapsed. I keep thinking if I just go back, maybe it'll hurt less." Noah leaned closer, his breath warm against my cheek. "Going back to someone who broke you doesn't make the pain disappear. It just teaches you how to live in chains." His words pierced me deeper than Jason's ever could. Because Noah wasn't trying to manipulate me. He was trying to save me. I pressed my face into his shoulder, breathing him in, the smell of coffee and laundry soap grounding me. For the first time in days, maybe weeks, I felt safe. But safety was fragile, and safety could be broken. The next morning, Jason's post appeared again on my feed. Not the old one, the new one. A picture of him, sitting on a rooftop with the skyline behind him. The caption, "Regret doesn't even begin to cover it." It had thousands of likes already, and dozens of comments, people telling him he was brave, that he deserved forgiveness, that true love always finds its way back. I hated how my chest ached reading it. I hated how a part of me still wanted to believe him. And I hated most of all that Noah noticed the way my hands trembled when I set my phone down. He didn't say anything right away. He just reached across the table, sliding his fingers over mine. His touch was steady, grounding. "You saw it, didn't you?" he asked quietly. I nodded. "Do you want to go back?" The question was simple, terrifyingly simple. My heart lurched. "I don't know." He pulled his hand back then, his jaw tightening. "You can't keep saying that, Eli. You can't keep standing in the middle while both of us bleed out." "Noah, I need to know." He cut me off, his voice rough. "Am I just the guy you run to when you're hurt? Or am I the one you actually want?" The silence after his words was unbearable. My throat closed, my chest heavy with things I couldn't untangle. I wanted to tell him it was him, that it had always been him since the first time he knocked on my door asking for sugar. But the truth was messier than that. I don't know how to choose, I whispered. He stared at me for a long moment, something breaking in his gaze. Then he stood. Then maybe I need to stop making it easy for you. And he left. The slam of the door echoed louder than any of Jason's words ever had. For days, Noah was gone. Not gone in the sense that he disappeared, still lived across the hall, still passed me on the stairs. But he didn't knock anymore. He didn't linger. He didn't look at me the same way. And God, I felt it. Every silence, every absence, every second of not hearing his laugh, it carved into me sharper than Jason's betrayal ever did. Because losing Noah wasn't about betrayal. It was about my own cowardice. Jason texted me again, this time longer, this time raw. I miss you. I can't stop thinking about you. Meet me tonight just to talk. Please. For a moment, I almost said yes. I almost let myself fall back into the cycle, into the comfort of old habits. But then I thought of Noah's voice, rough and desperate. I don't want to be your rebound. I want to be your choice. And I knew what I had to do. I didn't go to Jason. I went to Noah. His door opened slowly, like he already knew it was me. He stood there, tired, guarded, but still so painfully beautiful. What do you want, Eli? His voice was flat, his defenses high. You, I said. The word came out broken, raw but real. I want you. He didn't move, didn't blink. I've been so afraid, I admitted, my chest heaving. Afraid that if I let myself fall again, it'll end the same way it did with Jason. That I'll give everything and be left with nothing. But I realized something: losing you terrifies me more than loving you. And if I have to risk breaking all over again, I'd rather do it with you. For a moment, silence. The kind that stretched and stretched until I thought I might drown in it. Then Noah stepped forward, closing the space between us. His hand cupped the back of my neck, firm and grounding, and before I could breathe, his lips crashed against mine. It wasn't tentative this time. It wasn't careful. It was desperate, claiming, alive. When we finally pulled apart, his forehead rested against mine. Don't ever make me doubt again, he whispered. I won't, I swore. And for the first time, I meant it. But love, even when chosen, isn't simple. Jason didn't disappear quietly. He called, he showed up, he posted more cryptic captions that sent my chest spiraling with guilt. Some part of me still ached for him, not because I wanted him back, but because I knew what it felt like to be left behind. And one night, standing on my balcony with Noah's arms wrapped around me, I confessed it. I hate him for what he did to me, I murmured, staring at the city lights. But I also hate how much I understand his loneliness. Noah kissed my temple softly. You can pity him, Eli. You can even forgive him. But don't confuse that with loving him. Love is what's here. His arms tightened around me. Right now. With me. And in that moment, I finally understood. Love wasn't about the promises someone made in the past. It was about the choice you made every single day. And I was choosing Noah. Every day. No matter how much it scared me. Time has a strange way of softening the edges of pain. Weeks passed. Jason's posts grew quieter, less frequent, until one day they stopped altogether. I don't know if he finally found what he was looking for, or if the silence meant he was still lost. Either way, it wasn't my story anymore. For the first time in years, my chest didn't tighten at the thought of him. He was part of my past, not my present. My present was Noah. It wasn't always smooth. We had arguments, moments when my fears resurfaced and I pushed too hard, when his patience stretched thin and he walked out just to breathe. But unlike before, he always came back. And unlike with Jason, I didn't have to beg for scraps of affection. Noah gave it freely, completely, as if loving me wasn't a burden but a choice he made gladly every single day. One rainy Friday night, we ended up curled together on my couch, thunder rumbling outside. I traced circles on his chest with my finger, my voice barely above a whisper. Do you ever regret it? He tilted his head down, eyebrows furrowed. Regret what? Us choosing me. I mean, I'm messy. I overthink. I almost let Jason pull me back. Sometimes I wonder if you'd be happier without all my chaos. Noah's laughter was low and steady, vibrating against my ear. Eli, you think too much. You're right, you are messy. But so am I. And maybe that's the point. Love isn't about finding someone who makes life perfect. It's about finding someone you want to stand in the mess with. I swallowed hard, burying my face against him. You really mean that? I wouldn't still be here if I didn't. His lips brushed my hair, soft and certain. And in that moment, I believed him. But closure has a way of finding you, even when you think you've moved on. It was a Sunday afternoon when Jason showed up one last time. I was walking back from the grocery store, arms full of bags, when I saw him leaning against a lamppost near my building. For once, he didn't look smug. He looked tired, defeated. Eli, he said, his voice hoarse. I just needed to see you. I sighed, setting my bags down. Jason, no, listen. He cut in quickly, desperation flickering in his eyes. I know I don't deserve anything from you. Not your forgiveness, not your time. But I wanted to say I'm sorry. Not because I want you back, he hesitated, swallowing hard. Okay, maybe a part of me still does. But mostly, I just want you to be happy. Even if it's not with me. The honesty in his voice startled me. For the first time, he wasn't hiding behind charm or arrogance. He was just human, broken, like me. I loved you, I admitted quietly. And maybe a part of me always will. But that doesn't mean we're meant to find our way back. His lips trembled in a faint smile. I figured, just take care of yourself. Okay? I will, I said, and I meant it. He nodded, turned, and walked away. No dramatics, no promises, just a final goodbye. And somehow that was enough. That night I told Noah everything. He didn't get jealous, didn't snap. He just listened, his hand steady on mine. I'm proud of you, he said simply. For what? For letting go without losing yourself. I leaned in, kissing him softly, gratitude swelling in my chest. I don't know what I'd do without you. You'll never have to find out, he murmured against my lips. Months later, spring arrived. The city thawed, the days grew longer, and with them came the quiet certainty of a love that had weathered its first storms. One evening, we found ourselves walking along the riverside park, the skyline glowing in the distance, the air warm and filled with the smell of fresh blossoms. Noah slipped his hand into mine, his thumb brushing against my skin, and I realized how far I'd come from that night when Jason's post shattered me. Back then, I thought love was about forever promises, about holding on no matter how much it hurt. Now I knew better. Love was about choice, about showing up, about finding someone who stayed not because they had to, but because they wanted to. I stopped walking, tugging Noah closer. He raised an eyebrow, playful. What's on your mind? You? I admitted, smiling softly. Always you. And before he could respond, I kissed him. Slow. Certain. The world blurred around us, these city lights, the hum of passing cars, the sound of the river flowing steady and sure. None of it mattered. All that mattered was the boy in front of me, the boy who had turned my broken pieces into something whole again. When we finally pulled apart, he rested his forehead against mine. So I'm the one, huh? I laughed, breathless. You're the only one. And in that golden light, with Noah's hand in mine and the city stretching endlessly before us, I knew. This was what love was meant to be. Not unshakable, not perfect, but real. And real was enough. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.